Senator Omtata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to address this august House. I stand to support the two reports on the state of the markets in Bungoma and in Vihiga counties. The reports are an expose of the sorry nature of things that are happening on the ground. And when I read through these reports, I see a replica of what is happening in my own county of Busia. It's really unbelievable that we have got these big markets and hardly any services being rendered by the county government. You even go to big markets like Malaba in Busia, and the last time I checked, there was no public toilet. No public toilet. So people have to go and look for private facilities to help themselves out. Madam Speaker, markets are one of the core functions of county governments. And markets are supposed to be major revenue sources for the county, our devolved unit systems of government. But when you look at what is going on across the board, not just in Vihiga and Bungoma, or in Busia, or in Kakamega, or in Tana Rivers, the distinguished senator who has spoken before me has said, you find that they are largely neglected. We look at the world today, and we keep on saying that the way forward is trade. And how are we going to have trade if we are not having trade in areas which are properly governed, properly managed, and some which can secure even the quality of the items that people buy? Some markets are extremely dirty, unfit for human occupation. And I'm not talking about, if you just go to a few kilometers from Parliament here, down in Marikiti, down wherever, you find the markets are so dirty. You wonder what the county governments are doing, yet they collect a lot of revenue from there. Why they can't reinvest, I don't understand. On-source revenue from these markets is opaque. We can't know what is going on. And you'll find that the declarations, as Senator Osoti has put it, are hardly clear. They don't make logic. Like the figures that are shown from his own Vihiga County. The figures don't add up. And yet this is happening, and we have got institutions like the anti-corruption, we have institutions like the auditor, what do you call it? The police. We have got an economic crimes unit in the CID. I've never understood why we have left it to civilians, headed by a retired bishop, to deal with economic crimes in this country. Under Article 247, Parliament is empowered to set up a special police unit if it needs to deal with an issue. And I don't think that police unit was supposed to be the Anti-Corruption Commission. The police unit that is supposed to be set up by Parliament has to be under the Inspector General. So this idea that we have got a law enforcement organ out of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is one of the things we need to look seriously into. First of all, they are very thin, spread thin, they are not there. Like in Busia, they don't even have an office. You have to go to Bungoma to access one. So how do they enforce the law in Busia? Yet we have got a police station almost in every sub-county headquarters. At least we have got a good police station there. So I'm seriously thinking that to deal with these issues of the proliferation of the theft of public funds, we need to go back and look at the Constitution. Look at Article 79. See what the Anti-Corruption Commission has been set up to do. It is supposed to enforce Chapter 6. Chapter 6 has got nothing to do with crime fighting. Chapter 6 is to enforce a code of conduct. Chapter 6 is a code of conduct. The EACC is supposed to enforce that code of conduct. We go back to the Economic Crimes Act of 2003, I think, where before the constitution was, the current constitution was created and put into force, we had nobody that had been appointed to be fighting corruption. But if you look at our constitution today, matters crime are exclusively to be dealt with by the police. When you go to the CID, they've got a whole department on economic crimes. So the question is, why are we letting the EACC cover up for these people who are messing up? The EACC has no capacity to begin with. There are very few people. Secondly, there are civilians headed by a retired bishop. And you have got all this infrastructure of the DCI across the country that could be open and could be utilized by the people to ensure that we rein in this runaway misappropriation of public funds. The biggest issue with our market is that people pay taxes, they get no services, and that money is not accounted for. We need to get a way of enforcing the law. And to enforce the law, we must. And we must look at the foundational issues that are causing us not to be able to click when it comes to the question of law enforcement in matters of theft. Theft by public servants. You realize these matters of platforms. We have platforms that have been known to be used for stealing from the public, and I've got major cases. We had something which they used to call Web Tribe. Jumbo Pay, whatever it's called now. You find that rogue governments use it. And after fleecing Nairobi, I think Meru, I think the National Health Insurance Fund, they are now the people supposed to be collecting funds in Busia. So why are these people not being blacklisted and locked away from engaging with the public? They have messed up in Nairobi, they have messed up elsewhere, they have stolen public funds, they are still being allowed to contract with county governments. We will never get to the bottom of this thing unless we tie this, and we also need to look at these markets. We have got the facility improvement laws that are allowing the facilities to retain funds that they collect to be used to improve those facilities, and only the excess is what goes to the national coffers or to the county coffers. Why can't we have an arrangement similar so that we ring-fence money raised in markets to, first of all, provide services for that market? If there's an excess, then that money can be taken to the county revenue fund or elsewhere. So I plead with this House that we consider seriously coming up with a mechanism like what you have done for the health facilities, the facility improvement funds, so that we can have a facility improvement funds or market improvement funds, whatever you want to call it, so that these markets that are producing a lot of money are first of all taken care of from the money they generate before we give that money out to do other things in the county or to do other things in the national government. Maybe that way we'll be able to improve the service delivery and not rely to the money going to the county revenue fund and then coming back. And you look at some of the things that they do, they're highly inflated, substandard works that take place, and at the end of the day, we entrench poverty, because if we can't utilize our resources to create wealth, then we have no business being called leaders in this country, because the only function a leader has from where I stand is to convert resources into wealth. Now, if our people are so resourceful but they operate in squalor, yet they're generating a lot of wealth. What are we up to? We need to take action. And I want to thank my brother senators from Bungoma and Vihiga for having brought this request for statements that have basically opened the can of worms that is eating up our markets across the country. The other thing about markets is that the national government has taken over the function of building markets from the county governments. There's a lot of money coming in from the national governments to go and build build markets. Why can that money be channeled through proper lines so that we can know that this money was budgeted for, either as additional grants or whatever it is they are giving to the counties, and then we know clearly what has happened. You just hear that a market is being put up somewhere by the national government. So many hundreds of millions of shillings are being utilized. A contractor is being sent on the ground to begin implementing projects. You don't know how this contractor was funded, was sourced. You don't know what kind of product is supposed to give the people in terms of the market. Sometimes you find markets being located in areas that traders refuse to patronize, and yet public funds are being spent. So why are we having all this disconnect? I think if the national government wants to assist the county governments, they do so through the normal structures, not in an episodic manner, whereby allocations are being made on the basis of friendship or on the basis of proximity to the president. We have had the question of the broad-based government. When you look at when you ask for the justification for the broad-based government, you are told that the ODM had to intervene to save the Kenya Kwanza government from collapse. I was just trying to look at it as an analogy. If somebody is very sick in a hospital and he needs a blood transfusion, you don't just go for any blood. You can only take blood transfusion from the the type group. They have to be the same type groups. So this is a revelation that the blood group in ODM is the same as the blood group in Kenya Kwanza was very, very important revelation for us. So that because there's no way unless ODM had the same blood group, there's no way it could infuse blood into Kenya Kwanza and give Kenya Kwanza life. So this
Senator Omtata, what is the link of what you're saying to the markets, the report you're speaking to?
Yes, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm trying to tell our people that ODM was supposed to be in the opposition, doing oversighting the government. And yet it was not in the opposition. They had the same blood group as the Kenya Kwanza group, and so it was able to donate blood and give life to Kenya Kwanza. And so when we come back to the issue of markets, I'm trying to say that the oversight of this house is in total confusion. We don't know who is who. And that's why we are failing. We don't know where the opposition is. We don't know where the government is. We don't know who is who. So that's why we find that it's very difficult to enforce oversight when people can just move across and interface and they they become the mirror images of each other that way. So I bring that thing of the blood transfusion to show you that we do not have, for honest, because if ODM did not have the same blood group as Kenya Kwanza, ODM's entry into Kenya Kwanza should have killed Kenya Kwanza. But Kenya Kwanza was stabilized. And so the link I'm trying to bring out is that if we want to do proper oversight, we also need to clean up our politics. We need to have principled politics. We need to have politics that are centered on proper positions, because where Kenya Kwanza had reached, where it was not functional, I would have expected ODM to demand that the Kenya Kwanza government resigns so that we have new elections.
Senator Omtata.
No, that the Kenya Kwanza...
Can you please make a link? You are contributing to the report of the Intergovernmental Relations. Is it your view that report is not an oversight report? Can you make a link of what you're saying to the report?
I'm saying that, you see, the markets are now being built in a haphazard manner by the national government without respecting the distinction between the roles of the county government and the national government. And I'm saying when you come into political parties, the distinction between opposition and the government is no longer there. So we are rather, so there's that analogy I'm trying to create of blood transfusion. ODM had the same blood group as Kenya Kwanza. That's why it could transfuse blood that saved Kenya Kwanza. Otherwise, ODM should have demanded that Kenya Kwanza resigns so that we have elections and we get to have a new start in this country. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Boni Khalwale.
Hey. Madam Speaker, I thank you for this chance. And I want to express my satisfaction with the industry by your committee, where you are the vice chair, and my brother Mohammed is the chair. Madam Speaker, you will notice that purely by coincidence, the debate today is about markets in Bungoma County and markets in Vihiga. And because markets play a key role in the economies not only of these two counties, but by extension, all the 5 counties of the former Western Province, I therefore want to speak very candidly to the governor of Trans Nzoia, Bungoma, Kakamega, Vihiga, and Busia, that we are expecting a lot from them. And if the report of this committee on the 2 counties is anything to go by, then they have missed our expectations by miles. Madam Speaker, just in this House, 18.2 billion shillings was afforded for budget in Kakamega County. 15.6 billion for Bungoma County. 9.3 billion for the Trans Nzoia County. 9.2 billion for the Busia County, and 8 billion for the Vihiga County. How on earth, Madam Speaker, could it be that despite all these billions of shillings, when you move across the 5 counties, there is no visibility of development? Senator Osotsi, Senator Wakoli, myself, Senator Chesang, Okiya Omtata, there is something wrong in our home counties. And if we do not raise our voices, if we pursue this route of us being organized here in Nairobi, that either you belong to the opposition or to the government, or you are part of the misunderstood or ununderstood thing called the broad-based, we will sink even further. We will spend all our working hours, Senator Omtata, thinking about how nice, how God-sent the broad-based government was, when in actual effect, poverty continues to rise in our backyards. Madam Speaker, when you look at these counties, these billions And of course, as expected, our share from the 85% that remains at the national government is supposed to open our economy. How do you expect the markets in Vihiga, for example, to be optimally productive if the infrastructure is not opened? Vihiga trades with Kakamega, trades with Nandi. And if you go to come from Kakamega to go and do business in Vihiga, in Jeptul, in Mudete, in Shamahoho, and in Serem, Madam Speaker, it is impossible. Why? Because the national government has been promising our people, election after election, including the election of 2022, that they will fix the road infrastructure. 3 budgets after we won the election in 2022, Senator Sozi, I wonder, why is it still impossible to fix the road from Hamisi to Shamahoho, Shamahoho to Kaimosi, Kaimosi to Muhudu, Muhudu to Impaka, Impaka to Shiveye, Shiveye to Museno in Kakamega, so that our people can do business? And this is a project which, Madam Speaker, with due respect, when we were attempting to win the election in 2022, we did regional economic caucuses where we identified the potential areas. And now that Azimio, which did the same exercise with Kenya Kwanza, they are both in the same government. In fact, Azimio is now holding the purse strings. They are at the National Treasury. Why is it difficult? Or is there something wrong if development is tweaked to go to the counties of Western Kenya? Senator Osotsi. Something is wrong. In fact, Peter Kibisu is standing in his grave. The man who stood in this house and voted against government when himself, at that time, was assistant minister. Henry Pius Masinde Muliro, the same afternoon, he voted against government in this house, despite being Minister of Lands. Both of them were sacked because they believed in good governance. They were voting because, Madam Speaker, they were being forced on some principle called collective responsibility, and Masinde Muliro, Peter Kibisu, Elijah Weske Mwangale said that Abaluya people do not support killing of people, and they refused to endorse the report that was revealing who killed Josiah Mwangi Kariuki. We come from that pedigree, and therefore we must stand in this house and demand that national resources must also go to our region. I am not in the same mindset like the guy of shares, but sometimes there are certain aspects about the guy of shares that had nothing wrong. For example, when he was saying development should go to the mountain, I mean, that is what government is all about. That's what representation is all about. You can see my sister Beatrice Ogola these days, with due respect, she walks with a glow on the face because things are flowing into Homa Bay. Madam Speaker, this is the way it's supposed to be. And Beatrice Ogola, do not apologize for pushing that things go to Homa Bay. I would like us to also learn from Beatrice Ogola and Moses Kajwang in this house.
What's your point of order,
Madam
Senator
Speaker,
Beatrice?
Madam Speaker,
Honorable Speaker,
are you ambushing me?
is the majority whip insinuating that Homa Bay does not deserve services from this government? No. Yeah, we are Kenyans. We are county 043. Yes. Yeah, and we deserve all the services. In fact, Madam Speaker, we expect more than what we have gotten.
Senator Beatrice, what is your point of order? Senator Khalwale, you can proceed.
Thank you. Beatrice, you know, I was admiring
Senator Khalwale, you address
yes.
the House through the chair.
Yes. Madam Chair, I admire Beatrice Ogola, Moses Kajwang, and the governor of Homa Bay. I don't know how they do it. Do you know, in 9 short months, Madam Speaker, they have so admirably managed to convince the national government to put up an infrastructure of water worth 787 million shillings. I was chatting with the Honorable Kaluma this morning at a committee, and he told me he's so proud because they now have got a network within Homa Bay Town of 137 kilometers of tarmac road in the last 9 months. So I'm just saying, you're doing a good job, but when you hear me insist that Kakamega should also get, it doesn't mean I don't like Homa Bay. You have set a good standard, and we all should put pressure on the president so that what he's doing in Homa Bay, he should also do it in Kisi, in Kakamega, in Mandera. No, in Mandera you have got the Olugado, the long road of 700 kilometers. Madam Speaker, this is devolution. And if we continue pushing the way we are pushing, then the marginalization that we used to worry about, that was in the former North Frontier districts of Northeastern, will befall some of us. And we are not going to accept it. And this is why we were voted for. Madam Speaker, the people now speaking about the markets that are in this report and my neighbors. When you go to Serem, my great-great-grandmother was a girl born in Serem. She was called Lubandua. The same market in Serem, you go there are no public toilets. Madam Speaker, the state-of-the-art transport system in Serem Market, in Shamahoho, is border. Our children are forever exposed along the roadside. They are hit by trucks. Madam Speaker, most of them, they are exposed to sunlight and rain because there are no border sheds. These are the drivers of our economy. Madam Speaker, as her daughter, who we happily handed over to Kisumu, but who was born in the same place like me, you know Shamahoho. Shamahoho is the only market in Kenya which has a population of 2,000 to 3,000 shillings. 2,000 to 3,000 people doing business, selling bananas, green vegetables that we eat here in Nairobi, Madam Speaker, without any land. They are all standing alongside the road in Shamahoho. How Akaranga, who was the first governor, and how Tichilo, who has been governor now is running into 10 years, they have not found it necessary to move people who are next to that roadside, resettle them elsewhere, and expand this market. I don't know what leadership means to these two brothers of mine. Madam Speaker, this report really angers me that despite the brisk business I see in Serem, in Jeptul, at Kaimosi Junction, at Shamahoho, at Mago, at Savatia, at Modete, at Jabakali, Esibuye, Ilwanda, they are telling us that they collect only 13 million shillings per year. That's what they say in this report. That is not even half of what is collected at Hayaga Market only in Kakamega. And yet the same business theory, borders, Mamamboga, Mutumba is what takes place there. So why are we collecting more money in Hayaga than at Chabakale? For your information, Senator Osoti, Chabakale Market, as you know the history, you people stole it from us in Kakamega. It is called Ishiabakali. It is not Chabakale. At Chabakale Market, Ishiabakali, for your information, Chabakale Market, which is more or less the same size like Haega. It is a better economy because it runs for almost 24 hours a day. And yet, they collect nothing. These people are just sharing that money. It is open theft. I therefore want to pay my respects to the Senator of Kisii, because I have heard you again and again, you've always insisted that we must standardize the electronic collection of revenue. Because in your own words, if it has succeeded in Murang'a, if it has succeeded in Kiambu, if it has succeeded in Meru, why can't we use the same system? We have never suffered any consequences of using a uniform INFI system in the whole country. We should stop this theft. I wish a guy who believes in integrity like Onyonga was to become either the chairman of EACC, or better, you become the director of DCI, Madam Speaker, so that we can arrest all these people. Senator Onyonga, you better be careful.
Senator Khalwale, you don't address
Thank you,
thank
you, Madam Speaker. Back to business. I just wanted to warn you, Madam Speaker, that Senator Nyamu is threatening that she can she can derail him. I don't know how. She wants to derail him on matters of integrity. I thought you are a woman of great integrity. I know you as a woman of great integrity. Madam Speaker, Mbale Market. Mbale Market, this report, Senator Sodzi, what do we do? How can we have the headquarters of the great people of Vihiga, called Mbale, being the state it is? Why? Even if you just come only to Malinya Market, I deliberately, when I saw that the district headquarters was coming there, I deliberately moved families and resettled them elsewhere using CDF, so that we could create land where we can have infrastructure. You come to Malinya, we have created land, 20 acres, you have a stadium, you have the hospital, not 20, 30, 10 for the hospital, the stadium. We have created that. Why can't the imagination of governors be such that they create land in Mbale, for Mbale to be a headquarters? Every time I go for a drink at Nzogu, I pass through the market there in the evening, and our people love business. They love business. But then you can't drive through because they do the business on the road. We need to even ensure that the planning department, the city planning department, whether you call it city or town or whatever they call it, should actually be functional so that our people can be given an opportunity to enjoy doing business. I was listening to the former deputy president when he was in the US. He was truly misguided. In fact, if I had had any regrets for casting a vote to get him out of public office, Madam Speaker, I felt vindicated. The guy was telling the diaspora that the economy of Kenya is run by the men and women from Mrima. Madam Speaker, that kind of insult coming from a leader who had the opportunity, Madam Speaker, to be a DO in Navakholo, in Kakamega, cannot be excusable. When the former DP was a DO in Navakholo, an adult like me was an adult like him, he knows what he did to sugarcane farmers. He knows what he did to the shares of Moko in Mumias. He cannot go and insult us because the bad constitution that was there forced the presidency to stay in Mount Kenya for tens and tens of years, and in the process, they erode on the dictatorship of the executive to enjoy economic emancipation at the expense of the rest of us. He cannot then vomit on our shoes. I'm surprised that he even dared to field a candidate in Malaba constituency by-election if he detests our people to that extent. You tell people that they don't participate in the economy of the republic, and you want to go and win an election in Malaba? Kashagwa, party leader of DCP, I wish you good luck in Malaba constituency. A time is coming, and that time is soon. Some people will have to respect us. People cannot be using election in, election out to get votes, and when they come in office, they disrespect us, they economically marginalize us, and Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, they attempt to humiliate us. No, we cannot accept. We are men. We are children of women. We are fathers of children. Our expectations in life are the same as everybody's. We do not want any community to be left behind in Kenya. All communities must move at the same pace. I support.
Senator Asige, where is she? Senator Ogola, while she comes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Majority Whip, I never quarreled you. I only confirmed your assertions.
Order, Senator Khalwale and Senator